welcome to a very special episode of Nappy Changing and Brand Building. Today, I am delighted to be joined by a very special guest, Laura Tobin.
Hi.
You may recognise Laura from a very popular weather forecast, and she is a renowned meteorologist and environmental protectionist. But less known is that Laura is mum to little Charlotte, who was born very prematurely at just 28 weeks.
Yes, 27 and 5 is what we call it in the biz.
Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah.
Laura is joining us because after the premature birth of Charlotte, she has lent her support to a very great, amazing charity, the Ickle Pickles Children's Charity, that raises money for essential equipment on neonatal wards. And it's who we have started to partner with from Mama Bamboo to produce and donate our size 0 tiny baby nappies to 5 of the neonatal wards across the southeast. And it's who we are running our Give Another Mother scheme, where our clients can also donate nappies to the neonatal wards. And Laura is joining us, which I am delighted.
Hi. I just say size 0, people who don't know, that is 3 to 6 pound babies. So that is tiny, tiny baby.
It is the teeny weeny ones, which I assume Charlotte was when she was born.
Yeah, so she was 2.5 pounds when she was born, which actually for her gestation, I think was quite big. I think they expected her to be under 2 pounds. So yeah, I remember when she arrived just having this tiny, tiny nappy and just not know what to do with it.
Yeah, I assume, so you weren't expecting a 28-week baby or 27 and 5. What happened?
So, I mean, it's one of those things when you're pregnant with your first child, just don't only have one, you don't know what is normal and what's not normal. So it turned out that at 25 weeks, when I thought I just had terrible bladder control and was weeing myself, actually my waters had broken. And but because she was so small and because it was quite early on, it was just a little bit. I'm guessing that if you go full term, your waters break.
Yes, I can confirm. Okay. It's a full-on flood.
So it was just kind of little bits every now and again. And I thought I just had bad bladder control. I thought it was just one of those things. Yeah. A friend of mine was having the same things happening. She actually just was a bit incontinent. So yeah, I guess I didn't really think too much about it. No. And so it turned out basically my waters had broken, but I think quite high up. So every time I went to the toilet, the bump would move and then a bit of fluid would come out. Yeah. So I now know that's what it was.
Amniotic fluid coming out.
So then I remember, so we were talking about this. So I had this big thing. I didn't want to have anything in my house until the 3rd trimester.
No.
28 weeks I was waiting to buy stuff and bring it in the house. So I got a big clothes delivery, loads of maternity clothes, and they arrived on the Monday. I remember getting them all out, lining them all up and just going, I feel really tired. I don't really feel well enough to try these on. I'm going to do it tomorrow.
And I assume that's not normal for you. No, anti-trial clothes.
Exactly. And my husband was like, are you okay? I was like, yeah, I'll just leave. And I remember, it's really funny that I just remember at that moment, looking back, going, that was not normal for me. And then the very next morning, I got up normal time, 4:00, went to work. And I was heading into central London. I was on the phone to the Met Office getting my briefing. And then the Met Office forecaster went, are you okay? And I was just going, oh yeah, I've got these really bad stomach cramps. You know, must be what happens as you get towards, the end of pregnancy. And she's going, you okay? And I was like, I feel like I'm going to have a baby today, just joking. And then I got to work and Debbie in wardrobe, who's infamous Debbie Dresses, who dressed us all, just instantly looked at me and said, well, now she says she knew something was wrong. I didn't look right. She just went, take a seat and I'll come back to you. I'll get you some water. And she ran off and phoned Dr. Hillary, explained how I looked and what was going on. And I was really hot. And he said, she's having the baby today. That sounds like it. Don't tell her. I'll sort it out. So he instantly phoned St Thomas's, which was luckily right up the road from where I was working. And we went in. But before that, Charlotte, who reads the news, came in and went, it's okay. I just Braxton Hicks. I was like, are you sure? She was like, yeah, it's fine. And then Piers runs in and goes, oh my God, it looks like you're going to have this baby today. And I was like, really? You think I'm going to have it today?
Piers, so calming.
So much like it. And then they were just like, he didn't know that's what actually the doctor said. Now he obviously thinks he must be a trained medical doctor and he knew. But everyone was just really calm.
Okay.
And just collected. And I got to the hospital. I was lucky it wasn't busy and they just had loads of time. And they just kind of came in and went, yeah, you're having the baby today. And that was it. My waters had properly broken. And then Charlotte was coming. We didn't know if it was a girl or boy. That was one really big thing. And I remember the anaesthetist coming in, all these other things going on, they're they give you this injection to inflate the baby's lungs. That's something people don't know. It's one of the last things to develop in a baby when they're inside you. And they try and go for as long as they can to get them as inflated as possible. So when they arrive, they're breathing as much as they can on their own. And they're running around, monitoring the baby, monitoring you. I was just going... And I really wanted Bon Jovi playlist. And I really wanted my husband to tell me what the baby, like what sex the baby is. And they're just like, okay, I don't think you've really quite figured what's going on here. But they just kept me so calm. I don't think at any point did I feel stressed or distressed, because for them, they're used to babies much earlier in gestation. So it wasn't a really big deal for them. I remember going into the ward, to the theatre. It ended up that, you know, it wasn't progressing as quick as they wanted, so we had to have a C-section, which I think they prefer a natural birth because it helps the baby's lungs inflate. It's like really good adrenaline for them. But that was fine. I didn't have a proper birth plan. It wasn't a problem. I'm a twin and I was the C-section, so that was fine. It was something I thought was terrible. And I remember then, so they took Charlotte out, and my husband said, oh, it's a girl. And we really wanted a girl. You know, you're not meant to pick, but I really wanted one. And then I remember they took her away, and then they put her in a cot, and then they brought her next to me. But there were so many towels around her, I couldn't actually see her.
So
they were
so little.
Going, I didn't actually see her. No. And then she got wheeled up to the ward. I said to my husband to go. And then the first time I actually saw her was in a photo.
Okay.
She had this like little squishy face. And sometimes when she's sleeping, I still see that little squishy face.
Tiny face, all wrinkled up.
Yeah.
Oh, so sweet. And I take it she is doing brilliantly now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's 6. So she's just gone into year 2, which is crazy for me. And I keep telling her that she has to stop growing.
Yes. Yeah.
Obviously say you need to eat your dinner so you grow, but then sometimes we say,
no,
stop eating, stop growing.
Yeah. I want you to go back down now, please.
She measures herself on my belly button, so I stand up, and then I remember when her head got to my belly button, and now my belly button is shoulder height, and she's getting taller and taller, and undoubtedly my husband's very tall. She's probably going to be taller than me.
Gosh.
Not too long a time. So that's
one of these days she's going to be patting you on the head, calling you mini mummy.
No, that's a worry. But then, you know, all of these milestones that happen when you look back to being in hospital and not even thinking about leaving the hospital. You don't know how you're going to be in there for when you get home, and you do. And actually, it's funny because we're talking about when we had COVID and we had all the restrictions and how crazy it is. And, you know, we just went back to a neonatal unit, and I haven't been to one since Charlotte was born, and all of the washing of the hands and making sure that you're well and healthy. And when we went into COVID, everyone had to do that. You didn't socialise, you didn't mingle, you didn't
restrict everyone's contact.
That's exactly what it's like when you come home with a premature baby. You know, every germ is terrible, every germ is horrific, and you worry about it all the time, and you worry about them, you keep them as well as possible, and you wrap them up in cotton wool. So, you know, we've come out of that, we're into COVID, but then she's gone to school, she's just grown a strength, and
surrounded by friends, running around in the playground with grazed knees.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a normal little girl.
Yeah, and not identified as being premature. And actually sometimes I might say, because her birthday's July, it should have been October, so she's gone in the wrong school year. So her antenatal friends are starting year 1 and not year 2. And sometimes I'll say about her being premature, and they go, oh, she doesn't look premature. Yeah. I don't even know what does that mean after 6 years? Expected to look little or frail, or I don't know. But yeah, she's doing great, and she's funny, and she's just really creative, and unsurprisingly, she loves hair and makeup.
I think all little girls too, and some little boys.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Going back though to when you were in the ward, how long were you actually on the ward for?
83 days.
83 days. I love that you know that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I kept a diary, so that's one of the pieces of advice you were given, to keep a diary. And I think that maybe for everyone, it's very different, the journey when you're in there. And I kept it very much as like a medical journal note, and to know what was happening and understand it, to write down the terms of phraseology so I could go back and refer to it, because I might forget what happened in ward.
It's all a bit babbling at times.
I think sometimes people would use it as a personal thing, so that you could put your emotions in there, see how you're feeling. But I've looked back at mine, and it wasn't really that emotional. It was quite like
structured.
Yeah.
You do like a spreadsheet and some academic terms.
I actually had a spreadsheet for breastfeeding.
There we go.
So you have to. So when a premature baby is born, they can't just take milk straight away. First of all, your milk hasn't come in, so that takes a long time to sort out. And it's not until about 32 weeks at least where they can suck, swallow, and breathe at the same time. Oh, wow. And then when they do suck to take the milk, that uses energy, and they need energy to grow. So they tend to like stunt growing, because the energy goes into doing that action.
Into feeding.
So so it was something that you have to kind of wait a long time to do. But yeah, I had so from birth, like every 3 hours I had a spreadsheet and I would express and tally up and add up my milk and take it in like a hero.
Gave you a real routine.
Yeah.
And I take it you then continued that routine when you got home.
Yeah.
She was always kind of a routined baby.
Yeah. So she slept through the night amazingly. I feel bad about that. But yeah, because
you don't want to tell other mothers that.
Hospital days were 8 till 8. So it was noisy in the day. It was quiet at night.
Yeah.
And
she started that way and it continued, which is brilliant,
so
actually.
Positive of being
a small benefit. Now that we've started our partnership with Ickle Pickles, I am learning a lot more about neonatal units and some of the stresses that parents go through. And one of the stresses, because I cannot imagine how stressful it actually is to have a baby on the ward like that. But one of the stresses that sort of came to us was nappies, of all things. Like, it seems so trivial, but actually, obviously, your baby's very tiny.
Yeah.
And there aren't that many nappies available in those sizes.
No.
They're quite difficult to get hold of. And if you can get hold of them, the majority of them are the plastic kind.
Yeah.
And we've had quite a lot of comments of parents that we're now working with saying, now that they're getting ours, how much better the baby's skin is. And I just wondered if any of that sort of resonated with you at the time.
Like, it's something that you wouldn't even think.
Yeah.
I guess people love to think about clothes. Can I get really tiny premature baby clothes? But they don't need clothes straight away. They're in incubators. They have loads of monitors on them. They need to see their bodies. They need to see their skin, if they change colour, whether they're sweaty, if they're breathing. But they need a nappy. And I guess it didn't even cross my mind until I first saw Charlotte in her incubator later on after the day she was born, of how she was tiny, but how tiny her nappy was. And then also they're kind of quite rigid. So that was 6 years ago. They're quite rigid. You have to put them on and it's really hard to change them. And, you know, in a world where I'm very much care about the environment, you're like, right, we've got this nappy and we're going to use that and we're going to throw it away. And that's not great. But I mean, baby skin is soft anyway, soft in our skin.
Yeah.
Charlotte's always reminding me, you have old skin.
Oh,
I know. She's like, feel how soft my skin is.
Yeah. Thanks for that, darling.
And so, you know, their skin is really, really fragile anyway. But when they're really premature, their skin is super fragile.
Yeah.
So actually Charlotte had sort of like soft, furry skin.
Furry, or the vernix all covered in sort of the white.
Good word.
I know, medical, see.
And so you're just really conscious that anything you put on them and everything you put on them, you want to be as soft as possible. Yeah. So actually, that was the thing I didn't know about this. So I was reading about the bamboo and how it's really soft, really gentle, and completely different. It's got absolutely no plastic in it.
This was it. This was one of the reasons that we developed it. So my daughter was born just a couple of weeks premature, nowhere near yours, but she had really sensitive skin. And at the time, I knew nothing about nappies. And when she kind of came out in nappy rash, I just assumed she just had sensitive skin. So you slap on the nappy cream. I didn't consider that it was the nappies and wipes at all. By the time my son came along, so 2 years later, I got clued into actually what nappies are made of, because it's not obvious. They don't look like plastic. They don't particularly feel like plastic. And at that stage, I started looking into what's available and what can we do differently the second time round. And we did try cloth for a while, and I applaud anyone that manages it.
I know my mum did.
I didn't. We managed for, 3 or 4 weeks, and I cried in the laundry room almost every day, and I was like, this is horrendous.
I think the hygiene reasons for us with prematurity and keep everything clean and hygienic, I think just for me, in a world where I'd love to have been that eco, for the health and safety, I just don't think that would have been a route for us.
No, I mean, I really wanted to do it, but it didn't suit us at the time, unfortunately. And then I looked into what was available, and there were some plant-based nappies, but they weren't exactly what I was looking for. And I got a bit annoyed with the whole thing that I couldn't find a plant-based natural nappy that wouldn't cause nappy rash, but that performed the way I wanted it to perform.
It was actually eco.
Yeah. But it took me 2 to 3 years to kind of finally sleep. I did not like sleeping. Sorry. Yeah, mine were not in any routine. They were both little nightmares. So it wasn't until Alexander was kind of 2.5 and I finally slept and I kind of got my brain back. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to make my own. I'm going to find out how to do it. And bamboo is incredible. So it's been used in Asia for a long time, for fabrics, for materials, for wipes, for nappies themselves.
No way.
Yeah. And it's just that we haven't used it over here. So yeah, when we started looking into it, and we found out that bamboo was soft, breathable, so actually really helping airflow.
Because that's really worrying when you see them all sweaty and
Yes,
it's all red,
hot and sweaty. It's awful. And there's kind of a special enzyme in bamboo that actually reduces antibacterial growth,
amazing.
which all helps, obviously, with nappy rash problems, and better for the environment because you're not using all the plastics, and they're obviously like chemical free and no chlorine. So yeah,
I didn't realize the fact about how fast bamboo grows.
Oh yeah, it grows. So it has the Guinness World Book of Records record for a plant growth. In a day, it can grow 91 centimetres.
That's insane.
Which is insane. You could literally just watch it kind of growing in the day. It would take your baby 2 years to reach that height.
Wow.
And bamboo can do it
in a day.
Overnight. It's just amazing. In fact, I will say to anybody out there, do not plant bamboo in your garden. It's a really bad idea.
Did you do that?
Yes, I did. It's an extremely invasive plant.
Oh my God.
And one of the reasons that we have so much bamboo in Asia is it just grows wild.
Wow.
No pesticides, no fertilizers, no false irrigation. It just grows. It is a weed. So yes, if you plant it in your garden, be careful. We've had to pull out a lot of ours. But it grows really fast and it makes the perfect fabric for nappies, and particularly for little baby nappies when their skin is
so much softer,
so delicate.
Honestly, I really, really wish that we had these when Charlotte was a baby, because it is something that is, like you said, there are so many stresses anyway, but when they have that nappy rash, when you feel that it's not soft against their skin, but they have to have a nappy and it's really soft. And then in a world where I care so much about the planet and I felt like I was doing terrible things with how many babies' nappies and wipes are thrown away every single day and they just go into landfill and that's where they're going to stay for hundreds of years. The fact that they are biodegradable and the packaging as well. Honestly, if you want to make that eco choice and also make sure the baby is soft.
It's a simple change you can make, because actually the volumes are staggering.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You get through. So the average child gets through 6,000 nappies before they're potty trained, which in the UK adds up to 8 million nappies every day going into landfill or incinerator.
It's crazy.
And something silly like 30 million wet wipes. And again, most of them are made of plastic.
Yeah.
So yeah, just being able to switch.
Yeah.
You don't have to go all the way with the cloth nappies.
Yeah.
If there is a disposable version available, it's not quite such a big switch to make.
Yeah.
It's more convenient to you.
And like you said, and the size zeros, when Charlotte was born, you couldn't just go to anywhere off the peg and just get them.
Yeah.
They were really hard to get. So when you found them, you'd buy a load and you feel bad because then you know that somebody else wouldn't be able to get them.
Yeah.
They're actually more popular than you would think.
Yes.
But they are hard to come by.
So we found actually once we started doing the size zeros that we thought it would all be sort of donated through the neonatal wards, and obviously we're doing quite a lot of that. But lots of mums come to us and dads simply because their babies are tiny or they've been twinnies, multiple births. I mean, my little girl was only sort of 3 weeks preemie, but she stayed in a really tiny nappy until she was nearly 3 months old. Wow. She didn't kind of grow quite as quickly.
Yeah.
So yeah, we are finding there's more of an audience for the little nappies. But I mean, one of the things that we're really doing at the moment is trying to get our customers to join us in this sort of campaign and manage to donate more of the nappies.
Yeah, this is so great. This is so great.
Yeah, so obviously we're doing our donation and that's lovely, but we'd love everybody to join us, because if they donate, we will match them pound for pound and actually be able to give more of the nappies to Ickle Pickles to distribute to the neonatal wards.
That's amazing. That would be amazing, because we actually went to a neonatal unit today.
Yeah.
And it must have been really lovely for you to meet a mum.
It was.
Who said, I love your nappies. Yeah, they're so great.
I must say, every time we get a little bit of feedback and somebody says, you know, I can tell the difference between the other nappies. These ones are better. Thank you. I do. I quietly have a little yes, party. And it's lovely then to see them sort of come back to us and subscribe and stick with us for the journey.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's lovely to hear that actually they've been better for their little baby skin, because I mean, it was lovely on the neonatal wards day to see how tiny those babies
I know.
are.
You say that because I said to Enzo's mum, I said, nice to meet little Enzo. And I went, actually, big Enzo, because he was so little and now he's big.
Yeah,
so
he's grown already.
Yes, big Enzo.
So he's growing so quickly. It did actually make me a tiny bit broody.
I know.
Around that ward. Sorry, husband.
It just for me, because I haven't been back to one for 6 years, and it just brought back. They have so if they have jaundice, often they're born with jaundice, and they have to have like the little sunglasses on, and they have this machine to make sure that they don't have that going. I can't think what the phrase is. Billy Rubin. And so Charlotte was a bit jaundiced when she was born, and I walked past her, I was like, oh, there's that purple blue light, and then they're trying to do their care, they're trying to clean their baby, and oh gosh, look at all the cables, and oh yeah, the feeding tube, and it just like
bring it all back.
I think, how did we do that?
How for so long? 83 days.
Yes, 83 days. I remember one day they do a ward round every morning, and they say, this is Charlotte, she was born at, they don't say she's like 2 months old. If she was born at 28 weeks, then you add on.
And then they say their gestational age.
She's 32 weeks now.
Yeah.
That's how they talk about them. And I remember they were, she's 32 and one day, and I was going, no, she's not. I've got it written down here. I just want to correct you.
Yes, you know it precisely. But it was actually lovely to wander around and to see some of the other equipment that Ickle Pickles have been raising money for and donated to the wards, things like bottle warmers and blankets, some of the privacy screens that they've put in place. And I know they're always looking for more donations to the Ickle Pickles charity so that they can get more of these.
Because there's the obvious things. Of course, people think about the incubators, the really big things. But actually, there's a thing that you have called kangaroo care or skin-to-skin time. Yeah. So the babies in incubators, they don't smell you. They should be inside your tummy, and they're not. So one thing that they really like to do in hospital is you have no top on, the mum and the dad, and then the baby just lies on you. So you've got skin on skin. Hospital chairs are very uncomfortable.
I can imagine.
Ridiculously uncomfortable.
Yes.
So you're trying to do the skin to skin. You want to be as relaxed as possible. They're not in their normal incubator environment. And for me, her machine just used to ping all the time. Ping either because her heart rate was too high, too low, her oxygen too high, too low. I wasn't comfortable. She wasn't comfortable.
No, it wasn't. Not relaxed.
We were chatting to a dad today.
Yes, he said he was sitting in this awful little chair.
They've been transferred from another hospital to here. They had this great chair, really comfortable, and he said he did it for hours.
Yes. He said he could sit right back and relax, and it was lovely.
So yeah, it's a chair. You wouldn't even think a chair, but no, that's so important.
It's that type of equipment that's actually really needed to make that stay more comfortable for parents and better for the baby and the bonding.
Yeah, and that's so important, apart from, my Charlotte just didn't love it. But yeah, generally.
Not all babies
I knew she had that willpower and tenacity even back then. Having seen the babies in the premature baby unit today and really strong mums and just see the journey they have ahead of them, you don't want to look too far ahead because you live in the moment. And then I look back and I think, wow, I'd never dreamt she would be this amazing. All people's babies are amazing, but yeah.
Yours is super.
Yeah, she is. But, it's just great. It's just... she's literally going from strength to strength. And, for me also, she's my little eco warrior. Brought her up to learn about plastic pollution, single-use plastic. The other day she had a choice to buy a toothbrush. She could pick a bamboo one or she could pick a plastic one. Even though it was a Barbie, she still chose.
She went for the bamboo one. Oh, I love her already.
That is so brilliant. She's my little eco warrior. And, anything that I can do and that we can do, she knows to help to save the planet. It's really important.
Yeah. And it's lovely, actually. They are teaching it a lot more in schools. Both of my children come home with the eco message, no plastic in schools. My son joined the Eco Council.
Oh, great.
And I'm so proud of you. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for coming on and joining us today and for coming around the neo-natal ward with us and for supporting the charity. I really appreciate it.
Well done for coming up with such a great idea and making it happen.
Thank you. All right. See you.